Good morning, everyone. I'd like to express my gratitude to the Coast Salish Nation for allowing us to speak on their territory. I'd also like to thank EVA BC for the invitation to tell our story about the impacts and trauma we have experienced, in our family from the murder of our sister and daughter. I'd also like to introduce my mom. She actually didn't move to Smithers when she was 9 years old. I moved to Smithers when I was 9 years old. My mom was a single mom when she moved to Smithers with 5 children. And I'd just like to introduce her. I'm very proud of her for everything she's accomplished in her life, and most of all for her being still here after all the tragedy that has happened with my sister's murder. And she'll just give you an overview of some of the things that she's experienced, and then I will also talk about some of the dilemmas that we've had to face in dealing with trying to bring out the awareness with my sister's murder. And then Marlaena will continue, and she'll explain the governing body that we've been a part of. And this is my mom, Matilda Wilson.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to be here. You know, it's been such a long journey for our family since 1994. As you have heard, my daughter was murdered in the small town of Smithers of 5,000 or so. She was murdered in 1994. The first thing that happened this happened in June, and she was missing for 10 months. And finally, April 10th, 1995, she was found by a couple of people. They were four-wheel driving and all these things like that, and they got stuck in the mud somewhere, and they wanted to get leverage of some kind to get themselves out, and that's when they ran across this my daughter's remains, and we were so fortunate that Ramona was found. I prayed every day since she was missing that she would come back home, and it happened. I thank the Lord for that, and I think of the other mothers and fathers that haven't found their loved ones yet, and it's been so many years. And in June will be 18 years since my daughter was murdered. And there has been no closure. It is very hard, difficult for the families to go through this. We struggle every day. We struggle. And God knows how hard and difficult it is for the parents not to find their children. I pray for them every day because they have to struggle with this every day, wondering where their remains are, and it's and you don't know what happened to them. You know, they were saying that Ramona was hitchhiking. We're not even sure if she was hitchhiking or she was taken from the streets of Smithers. This is not a confirmation of her hitchhiking, but we just assumed that she was hitchhiking at the time. And you know, it's been very difficult to set the story straight on everything that happened. Ramona was just having fun like any other teenager. She was 16 years old, and she was going places. She was working at Smitty's at the time, and she was one of the ball players for the fastball team. And she was also a peer counselor for the youth group. She was always so busy, you know. She would just run in the house and kiss me, and off she goes because she's got so many things to do. And I remember one time when she was 12 years old, we were sitting at the table. I was baking some bread, and she told me, "Mom, I want to let you know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a psychologist because there's so much trouble in this world. I want to help everybody out." I said, "Good for you, my little girl." I said, "There is a lot of problems in this world." And I'd like to get back again to the missing loved ones and to the murdered loved ones. You've never seen one person arrested yet. In my case, in the last 18 years now, there has been no arrests made on my daughter's murder. And also through all these 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, we haven't found any remains of our loved ones in Smithers. There's quite a few of them. They've just disappeared, and that's happening along Highway 16 too. Where are they? Where did they put them? And you keep on wondering, you know. And the most difficult situation a mother has to go through is when they're wondering, how long did my daughter live? And, you know, they think about their mother, they say, on their last breath. And I think of that every day. And I pray to God that someday there will be a closure for our family and for the other families, especially the ones that have not found their loved ones yet. I pray for that. I was at one time ready to end my life because this was my little baby, my last baby that had been murdered. And then my beautiful oldest daughter here said, "Mom, you have to be strong. We need you. We need you. What would happen if you leave us? It'll be another strike against us." And I thought to myself, I'll get up. And that's when I realized how many people, how many little girls in their teens and you know, and women that have been missing. I just had no idea how many that have gone missing and have never been seen. I'm so glad to stand here to be involved in this. Also, you know, I had the intentions of stepping down and not to speak in public again, and to you know, to let things go, because there's a lot of people now that is involved with the Highway of Tears. But I have changed my mind, because there's a lot of families that need support. And when I do make these speeches in different areas, I make sure that I do see the women that, you know, their children are not found, and I just give them a big hug, because they're just so strong. They're so strong to keep on going. It's the hardest thing to do in life, to keep on. I remember Ramona when she was a small little girl. She was so bubbly. She always made us laugh. You know, she was so comical. She was our little baby. And as you see, I've got one of the pictures down here. She was in a native modeling, native fashion show. She was modeling wedding dresses and different kind of dresses that was made by Valerie Morgan from Kitwinga. She's one of the best fashion. You know, she does a lot of fashion clothes, native fashion clothes. And I was so glad that Ramona, the year before she was missing and murdered, she had modeled most of the clothes, and you know, that's some of the happy memories I have, and I keep it alive with me. And you know, I pray for my children, and I, because it is very difficult for them too. It's some of them are going through a rough time right now, especially my boys. My 2 boys. I've got 4 boys, and I'm so proud of my daughter here. She has she went to treatment, and she has been has how long? 7 years. 7 years of sobriety, and I'm so proud of her. I kind of think of her as my pillar at times. It's supposed to be the other way around. And I thank you so much. I will leave you with kindness and respect, and it's an honor to be here and to bring you this you know, this message of hope, and hopefully sometime we may be able to put a closure to all the missing and the murdered women. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, my mom. I'm so proud of her for being here, like I said before, because it has been a struggle for her and for my family. I'm just going to put this down a bit. I just want to stand here today to share our story and give you an overview of the impacts we have endured over the last 18 years. I'm also here to gather information and resources from you. You are the people that can assist the families that are enduring an ongoing pain that will be with them for the rest of their lives. As I tell you our story, I ask that you think about what you can do to assist the families that are going through a similar trauma. Ramona Lisa Wilson was born in Smithers, BC, February 15, 1978. Ramona was the youngest girl in our family. When she was first born, she was the apple of our eye. I was so happy to have such a beautiful baby sister. I have 4 brothers, so to have the cutest little girl added to our family, it was a godsend. I did not put up with my brothers. Ramona was fair-skinned with dark hair and eyes. She was always our baby, no matter how old she was. We always made sure she was dressed well and her hair was always fixed. The best part I loved about my baby sister was being able to dress her up in cute dresses and bonnets. Her favorite color was pink, or my favorite color was pink. And I just loved fixing her hair because when she was little, it was curly, and when she grew into a beautiful young woman, it became long and straight. Her older brothers were always overprotective of her. From the time she was born until she is about 7 years old, they always carried her around like a baby. Ramona liked to tease and laugh with them, and there'd always be running around in the house and things being knocked over and hollering in the background from Mom. Although our mother was a single parent, she ensured that we celebrated our birthdays and Christmas. So right now, you might be thinking that we fit into the many statistics of single parents, poverty, and a dysfunctional family. So I ask myself questions. Was this our fate? Did we deserve this? And did we bring this on ourselves? Despite what any statistics say about us, our love for each other is very true and very deep. When one of us is hurting, we all know about it and we all feel it. The more we talk about the week before Ramona went missing, we realized that we had some sort of internal warnings. Why then, we as human beings never ever listen to those eternal warnings? Why are we not taught to listen to those warnings that we feel inside us? For example, when our eye twitches, we know something bad is going to happen, but we don't pay attention to it. Sometimes we see visions of things happening in our dreams, but we just don't listen to them either. Those are some of our internal warnings that we have, but we just don't listen to them, and we really need to start doing that. They are warnings that are given to us from our ancestors, from our Creator, to have a heads up on things that could potentially happen to our families and or to ourselves. Some of the other hurdles that we have experienced throughout the years was convincing our community, the RCMP, and most of all, one thing that really blew me away was our mayor of our community, the mayor at that time. We had a problem and we needed help. Why didn't these people believe us? Why did we even have to convince them? Even when there was one Aboriginal young girl missing 4 years prior, and I'm talking about Delphine Nicole. She went missing 4 years before Ramona, but still no red lights, no big posters on the highway or anything saying that these two girls were missing. Nothing. We had to make up our own posters, black and white posters that were photocopied. Not these big fancy posters you see now that are out there. And I'm not trying to diss anything that's out there today, but I'm just trying to make it known that what we had to do in the beginning stages of bringing out the awareness to our community was that we had to do it ourselves, and that we had to make up these posters on poster board and use a photocopier, all black and white. Sometimes I still have an anger, and maybe that's what keeps me going, is because when I think back on the 17 years that we've been doing this, I think about how much we had to, really convince people that Ramona was missing, and just to get that information out there was a really difficult time, because, like I said, my mom was a single parent, and we didn't have the funds to put out any posters or anything like that. My mom was selling her crafts. I was making crafts and bake sales, all these things that would maybe raise $100 or less. And we were shooting for a $2,000 reward or $20,000 reward. And we couldn't even do that. Can you imagine how that makes you feel as a family member? To not be able to put out that information to find your loved one. And then after finding her, wanting to know answers of who did this to her. And once again, the barriers are up. No funds to provide a reward to find answers, or even to do the walks that we do every year, as you see. That was our walk last year. It was the first time that we've ever had over 100 people out to our walk. And that's a major accomplishment. 17 years it took before we finally reached over 100 people. Year by year, it's like between 20 and 30 people. But the media is assisting in some ways with advertising the walks. There's more community involvement. And it's not only in our newspaper, it's moving all over the place. But I'm very grateful for the people that have been involved with the walks in our communities, such as Domestic Peace, the Friendship Center, and interested individuals that have been there from day one, friends and family. If it wasn't for them, we would have struggled more with trying to bring out this information. I think because I worked in a family support organization, I was able to quickly make these connections to bring this out to the media and our community. If I didn't have those connections, I believe we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be standing here today. And a lot of the inquiries and stuff probably wouldn't be happening either. The successes we have had are the governing body with Carrie Sakani and implementing tools that will assist families and provide resources that will start to prevent these tragedies that have happened. And Marlaena will touch base on that later. I think what is most successful and most of all what has been really awesome to me is everyone here in this room. To be able to collaborate, to come together, and to try to find some solutions. I find those successes. Right now, not being able to find answers of what happened to Ramona or who did this to her, I know it's going to be a long shot, but I feel in my heart it's going to happen. But what can be done from here on is what I look forward to every day. I think about ways I can help the future generations. So, as a worker, as a supporter, if a family ever comes to you and asks for assistance, please don't tell them their child needs a break from them. This is what the RCMP told us. It does not ease the thoughts about the danger their child could be in. How you help is up to you. You can be the shoulder to cry on, an ear to hear the pain, a heart to empathize the pain, or a hug to feel cared about. This is our story. You are our community. You are the shoulder to cry on. What can you do? If you are going to assist the family, look at the whole family. The mother, father, sister, niece, nephew, grandmother, and grandfather. Ask how each of these members of the family are being impacted by the murdered or missing loved one. Because I had so many questions as we went through this whole process. Why was our family not offered any assistance individually and as a whole family? There needs to be an intervention from our communities or the extended family. We have forgotten how to reach out to our extended families. Our minds at the time were so closed and our hearts so broken that we didn't think of even looking in that direction. So I'd like to thank you this morning for allowing me to tell you our story, and I'd also like you to challenge you to see how you can assist the families that you meet that have someone missing in their lives or someone that has been murdered. Thank you.
Snachelia, Brenda and Matilda, for honoring us with your story today. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us when I say that I cannot imagine how you have endured through the loss of Ramona. There is nothing that speaks more powerfully to the importance of our work along the Highway of Tears than personal stories like yours. I am honored to hold the Highway of Tears portfolio for Carrier-Sa County Family Services and to stand up for these injustices and do whatever we can to prevent more women from being missing or being murdered in the North. And I would like to acknowledge the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people and thank you for welcoming us here today. I'll provide a brief overview for you this morning of our Highway of Tears Awareness, Advocacy, and Victim Prevention Program. As I'm sure you're all aware, the Highway of Tears refers to the unsolved murders and disappearances of women across northern BC. To provide a bit of history, from 1989 to 2006, 9 young women, including Ramona Wilson, were found murdered or went missing between Prince George and Prince Rupert. All but one of these victims were Aboriginal women. In 1997, the RCMP expanded the number from 9 to 18 and the total kilometers to 1,500. It is in the memory of these women that the Carrier-Sa County Family Services work is grounded. In the memory of Tamara, Nicole, Lana, Alea, Roxanne, Monica, Alberta, Micheline, Leah, Shelly-Ann, Gloria, Gail, Monica, Maureen, Pamela, Colleen, Cecilia, and Delphine. In 1996, a symposium was held in Prince George to create a public awareness campaign and a call for action around this issue. 33 recommendations were made in 4 key areas: victim prevention, emergency awareness, family victim counseling, and community engagement and development. It was from these recommendations that the governing body was formed with Carrier-Sa County as its host agency. Carrier-Sa County and the governing body have passionately advocated for the government to fulfill its commitment to support the implementation of the 33 recommendations from the symposium. We have had past success in acquiring funds to provide support to families and to work with communities to implement some of these recommendations. Some of the past activities have included public awareness campaigns, community forums, 11 memorial vigils and walks, governing body support, updates, and advocacy, RCMP recommendations to stop and speak to hitchhikers when their duties permit, which have been implemented, development of a Highway of Tears toolkit, which I'll elaborate on in a moment here, and numerous proposals for funding to give our Highway of Tears Train the Trainer training. The toolkit was developed to educate community members about the dangers along the Highway of Tears and promote safety, education, and awareness in 7 areas: community development, personal safety, safe travel, violence against women, sexual exploitation, addiction, and community violence. And here's a picture of our toolkits with our awesome resources. The first resource contains a civic participation and community action sourcebook and provides a great resource to increase community participation and create action. The second module contains a DVD and discussion guide called Dissolve, a documentary on drug-facilitated sexual assault, which sheds light on sexual assault myths, impacts, and prevention strategies. The third module is a well-known booklet called Trust Your Instincts and provides great tips for women on how to stay safe at home, work, or when traveling. The fourth module from the RCMP notebook offers information on being aware of your environment at all times and how to respond effectively when your safety is threatened. You Are Not Alone is the resource in Module 5 produced by EVA, also known as the PAVE Toolkit. It provides tools for women who are experiencing violence to talk about risk factors, safety, planning, services, and how to get help. Module 6 is a resource called Taking Care of Each Other's Spirit and contains information about the signs of domestic violence and intervention strategies for abused women and their abusers, created from a pre-Cree perspective. The last module is called a collective voice for the women who have been silenced and provides a brief history of the Highway of Tears as well as the 33 recommendations from the symposium. Our future plans include providing the Highway of Tears toolkit, it's a bit of a tongue twister, Train the Trainer, in Williams Lake, Prince George, Burns Lake, Fort St. James, Smithers, Terrace, and Prince Rupert, for First Nations communities and service providers and educators surrounding these cities. We also have plans to create a youth-specific toolkit, which we will provide Train the Trainer for in the same cities. The youth toolkit will be gender-specific, contain relevant resources which promote safety, prevention, awareness skills for northern youth who live in remote communities. We're planning to develop a media campaign which will target violence against women from a gender-specific context, consisting of radio, print, and social media outlets. And finally, we plan to provide safety and awareness training at our 2012 youth conference this summer at the Lejac residential school site. Some of our additional priorities include securing ongoing funding to provide prevention programming to keep our women and children safe, to continue to advocate for a separate inquiry for the missing and murdered women of the North from the Highway of Tears, to further develop strategies to meet the symposium recommendations, and to continue to hold annual awareness memorial vigils. Carrier-Sekani Family Services is committed to advocating for justice and doing whatever we can to prevent further harm coming to our women and children in the North. We thank you for welcoming us today and wish you all a great day. Masai.